to the Marriage Can Win show. We are so happy again to be broadcasting to you live on Facebook. The Marriage Can Win show will be simulcasted also on YouTube as well. But tonight, as always, we have a very special guest tonight, and we are always so excited to have guests because we have a mission and we have a goal to help educate, empower, and encourage couples and individuals to win in their relationships and to win. And so we have a winning guest tonight, and I tell you, this is the night where we're always raw, relevant, and real. And so my beautiful wife, Dr. Sakeisha Heilig, I'm going to always, as we see us tonight, that dynamic duo, we work side by side, hand in hand. Miss Sakeisha, why don't you go ahead and do the introduction tonight?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, tonight we have an amazing guest with us. We have Kearn Cherry with us, and we are so excited. She's a speaker, a coach, an entrepreneur, an author, and a collaborator. Can you say she wears a lot of hats? She's the author, and she speaks on so many different topics, such as how to put butts in the seats, how to fill the rooms, how to create multiple streams of event income, turning connections into profitable collaborations, and how to plan profitable events. She's the co-founder and director of Success Women's Conference, which produced over 1,000 attendees, and it's going to be held this year in September of 2020 in Biloxi, Mississippi. She's also the creator and event producer of Power Up Summit, which is scheduled for July 31st to August 2nd of 2020 in New Orleans. She's the visionary author of her new book anthology, Trailblazers Who Lead, with over 27 co-authors sharing their stories, and that's due to be released in June of 2020. She's previously co-authored 2 anthologies, Women Inspiring Nations, Volume 2, and Success Must Be Taken, and Unboxed. She's a community activist who engages in developing community activities such as Blessed Girls Rocks, and she's the creator of RIPE Conference, which is Resources, Information, and Planning for the Elderly. While she sits on numerous boards, she also encourages women to network to increase their net worth while building relationships that can lead to major collaborations. Mrs. Cherry has been featured twice in Essence magazine and once as the comeback queen. She was recently recognized as one of the top 50 leading business women in Mississippi and received the Governor's Give Award for outstanding achievements in empowerment initiatives. I want everyone to just give her a virtual round of applause as we bring Ms. Kearn Cherry forward with us, or to the stage, our virtual stage for the
evening. Make sure you share out the broadcast, everybody, or start a watch party.
All right. So, Kearn, well, first of all, we want to thank you so much for joining us this evening, because you wear so many hats, and I'm sure you have people all constantly calling and messaging you and wanting you to speak to women and speak to business owners and entrepreneurs, in addition to a healthcare company. So one of my questions to you is, how do you manage it all? Because you've been married for 34 years and you have, let me make sure that I'm correct, you have 3 children, correct?
Correct.
Oh my gosh. So how do you manage being a wife of 34 years? You have 3 dynamic children. You host these businesses and these conferences. How do you balance it all?
Well, first of all, I thank y'all for having me on. I'm just blessed to be a part of this. And I really enjoy, some people like doing multiple things and their brain doesn't really function unless they have a lot going on. I do really enjoy doing that. At the same time, I feel like, last year, and I've been telling people this, last year was one of the first years that I actually planned out what I was going to do for this year. Now, of course, I've added a lot of other things since then, but it did help me to focus a little bit because I added things that I had never done before, which was doing a book, actually being the visionary author for the book. And so I was able to do that. But I bring in people that help me fulfill my vision. And so you can't do everything alone. In my home care business, my husband is my partner, and we've worked together for over 30 years now, not just in our business, but even before we were in business, we worked together as well. And so you have to have help. You can't do everything yourself, no matter what I know a lot of us think we can, but businesses that are truly successful, and they call us mom and pop businesses, they're really more successful when the husband and wife are working together, and we find our own strengths.
Well, yeah, small businesses are the backbone of America. They're the ones who really keep America going. It's not necessarily we always think it's the big businesses, but no, it's actually now it's the small business of the world. And you got to start somewhere. So you have to start with the mom and pop. So you grow, and then you employ others, and you grow.
And I think what's beneficial is too, when you think about some of the smaller businesses, you get a more personalized touch versus sometimes going into these larger retail stores. So that's one of the things that I appreciate, and that's going to cause me to always want to support smaller businesses. When you walk in and they can identify who you are, what you like, what your needs are, versus just being another number, support coming into the business, that makes a world of a difference to me.
Yes, it does.
Awesome.
Yeah,
now,
really
you said something really key. You said we can't do everything alone. So for everyone out here that's listening, put a note in there. I can't do everything alone. Because as wives, when I was reading your bio, I was thinking, wow, I felt sometimes overwhelmed. Like I wore so many hats, and I read your bio. I said, you know what? I got to sit back and learn to be appreciative.
I know, we got to learn how
the statement is, you can have it all. You can with a team. And it's really teams. Right now I'm working with different teams of people. We have our conference success. That's a separate team. We have, for my power up, I recruited a separate team, and just different things that I'm doing now. I realize if you try to put it all on one team, then you kind of wind up in the same situation of doing it all yourself, so to speak. But if you spread and you have different teams, like my husband focuses on the home care business. His greatest strength is making sure that we get the right people working for us and managing those people and overseeing that. That is his strength, and he works. That's his gift. That's his calling. So that's a different team from working with my conference, which I'm a co-founding director, Success Women's Conference.
Wow.
Well, that's one thing I always say is that we have to stop as couples working individually, and we have to work as a team. We have to build each other up. No matter where we are as an individual, we have to help each other, bring each other up, not tear each other down, and work as a team. And the very popular saying is, teamwork makes the dream work.
It does.
And that's really, really key.
It is.
I was thinking about, there's something else that you said, and when I'm going to go and interview someone, I started just reading a lot about you. And one of the things that really, really stood out to me is that you said, when one door is closed, go to the next one. And if that one is closed, go to the back. And if that one is closed, create your own, but never give up. So that just stood out to me, because a lot of times people may be tempted to give up, but that was so encouraging, because you were saying, if this is closed, go here. If not, go around the back. If not, create your own door.
Or break that door down.
Yeah, and that's so empowering.
Down.
What encouraged you or helped you get to that mindset in order to know, hey, I just can't give up. I know what I'm called to do. And regardless of the obstacles I may face, I cannot give up. Was there like an aha moment or something defining moment that, shifted your mindset?
What I mean, for me, I've had quite a few different. When you've been in business a while, you realize there are always going to be ups, ebb and flow. When I was featured in the issue "Comeback Queen," I remember thinking one of the reasons why is we had already done a few other businesses, smaller, businesses that we had done, but one of our past employer, one day he saw my husband and I, he looked at us and he said, the one thing about y'all is y'all never give up. If one thing is not working, you just turn around and do something else. And at that time, we had created an adult daycare center. And it, we had it was stable, but that kind of floundered here. So we're like, okay, we're going to push on. We're going to do something else. So we never just said, okay, that's not working. We just need to quit. We just need to move on and not even try to do anything else. Of course, from there, I created conferences, resource guides, all kinds of things to help caregivers improve their lifestyle. I really believe that a no is a long way to a yes. And so people buy people. They don't buy products. And so when you knock on that door, whether it's in person or literally or not, that person is not necessarily saying no to you. What they're saying is, I'm not sure I know you yet, or I'm not connected yet. So that's why you need to work on building relationships, because a lot of times they just haven't bought into you yet. And so that's why I tell people, you really need to focus on going back the next year. I have sponsors that say, we don't have the money this year. Okay, I make a mental note. Next year, start a little earlier with it. Yeah. That could be the issue. Sometimes they won't say that's the issue, but it could be. And I've actually wrote down sometimes, okay, this person may not work out for me, but you know what? My conference is going to be here, but they're not going to always be in that job. So let me start working on that secretary who's in there that may be able to get me around to somebody else who also has the power to say yes. But believing in yourself and knowing that you have a good product or you are a person that can deliver, when you do that, you're always eventually going to get to a yes. And I truly believe right now is the time to create your own. So I'm encouraging people, don't get caught up into, I don't have, my job is on hold, or I lost my job, or whatever. Maybe you're not getting any of the stimulus money or whatever it is that you're going through. It is time to get online and create your own presence and create your own product. Do not take this big no that we're all living in right now. That's the way I see it. We're living in a big no. And so a lot of us have a lot of things we had all planned out. How many people said 2020 vision, this is my year? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's still your year. You just need to create your own. You need to pivot and do something a little different and make sure you have a digital presence. It's important.
Well, I know we have to be dynamic and creative now, especially when we have this stay at home. But before then, you have had a number of conferences where you had over 1,000 attendees. Mm-hmm. What is the secret sauce to that? I know it might be the KFC secret sauce, and when you tell somebody that you got to kill them, but is it something you can give us the water generic now first?
No. So the first thing I'm gonna say, and I know many people have heard this before, stop posting flyers online and saying they're gonna come. They're not going to come if you don't put the effort behind promoting an event. There are many things that you can do to put butts in the seat. Now, they don't call me the butts in the seat queen for nothing, because I put effort behind, strategy behind putting people in the room. And then bring people on. And remember I told you earlier that one of the key things is add team members. make people a part of what you're doing, because you can't multiply yourself as a person, but you can add people that do the same thing you do. So a lot of people now are hiring social media teams, and I'm not saying hire them. I'm saying get you some volunteers, get you some ambassadors, brand ambassadors, get you some people that believe in your vision, that are willing to say, hey, I'm going to share this out and I'm going to make sure it's seen on a regular basis. And, you know, you got to do other things. You have to do e-blasts, and, you know, you also have to be visible in person as well. Some people don't think that's effective, but when people hear your name and they associate you with the product, they're going to say, well, you know, I remember talking to her. Let me get online and check that event out. You'll be surprised how many people share things that they find online. There are a lot of things that I could go over, but of course, that is something that I teach in my coaching class as well, which I would love to have many people come on and be a part of. But there are just different strategies. Many people see me tag, and the other thing they call me, the other name they like to call me is a tag queen. Well, I don't know if y'all realize, but you're not seen on Facebook or any of these social medias if you're not tagging it to people and getting people that believe in who you are to share it out. Right. You know? And of course, the other thing is, you know, you have to employ a marketing strategy. You have to get a marketing team. Sometimes you may have to actually hire a marketing person for that. But I always say start with volunteers, because events do cost money. So anyway, but it's something I coach, and I don't mind talking more to anybody who'd like to talk about it.
And we're going to find out before you go when your next coaching event is, because I'm sure people are like, hey, I want that secret sauce.
Yes.
So can you share with our listeners what one of the greatest, I'd say, hindrances was that you've encountered in business thus far? Because we have sometimes like people will get that no and they'll shy away. But what was one that you encountered and you know what, you just kept going forward? So we're going to encourage them to keep going, especially during this time.
Well, I've come across a few, not just in my business and in the conference side as well. In my business side, one of the things is, of course, we've been hit here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast a few times by disasters, such as Hurricane Katrina. And what people did not realize that what came after Hurricane Katrina and the financial disaster 2008, we also had an oil spill. And people think, well, how does that affect, how does that affect your business? Well, it did. People stopped spending. If you get hit 2006, 2008, and then 2010, people tend to say, okay, I'm a little afraid to spend money right now. So maybe I'll take care of my mom at home versus bringing somebody in, or maybe I won't have somebody taking care of my mom at home. Maybe the neighbor might help me out a little bit, putting their parents at risk, of course. But, sometimes you have to adapt that way, at least for caregivers. But for us, we do, like right now, we're offering services that are a little more streamlined to the time, where people just need a little quick in and out type services. Okay. So sometimes you have to create a service that is maybe it doesn't bring you as much money, but it still brings you some. And God says, don't be afraid of small beginnings. But in addition to that, it keeps you continuing with your business. And, as far as our conference and stuff, we've been hit with, last year I was hit with 3 or 4 keynotes almost pulling out. And we got really quickly on the phone. We managed to get several of them on the phone with their agents and stuff like that. And my partner and I, we tag team and we talked to the agent to make sure that we got what we needed for that conference. We didn't just say, okay, that person said they're not coming, or that person said that wasn't in the contract. that's a no, right? But no doesn't always mean no. Maybe our thoughts were, we need to talk to them and find out where we can meet in the middle, and is there something else we can do for them to make this more beneficial to them? And we actually wind up with a better relationship once we were able to talk to them. So don't take the no as a no. I'm telling you, most of the time it's getting on the phone. Most of the time it's just creating something that's smaller, that's more affordable for people, right now. So it doesn't mean you have to stop. Yes, they may not be able to afford your product. Say if you're a coach, they may not be able to afford your $10,000 coaching program, which a lot of people have. So you may have to offer a smaller program, maybe a $997 program. That's not your full program, but it's a program that's going to put butts in the what? The seats.
Wow.
So you said about building a team. What kind of strategies, or how do you go about building a team? And the thing is, you want someone who sees the vision. You want someone who's going to actually be excited about working with you and working with and under your brand. So can you give us some tips on that?
Some tips on that, I can tell you, like in our home care business, and I actually finally broke down and hired a virtual assistant. And there are so many people online that you don't have to do everything in person anymore. I think we have just gotten to where we think that we have to do the traditional thing. So your team may be the person that answers your phone. Maybe that you have a person in the front office that answers people, that take people in as they come in the door. But maybe that person's only part-time. And then you have a VA that's helping you on the other side. For me, when I'm putting on events, and now that I'm doing a lot of smaller events too, that virtual assistant also is teamed up with a graphic designer person who also just handles all the graphics that come through. When I'm putting conferences together, I look at people that don't mind helping me ask for money. There's not many of us that will ask for the money, but you know what? I always include myself, and then in addition to that, I ask other people that I know that don't mind asking, even if they only bring in 2 or 3 or 5. Can you imagine that was 0 and now you have 5 that you didn't have to get yourself? So keep in mind, if you don't ask, you don't get that. A lot of people are also hiring interns. So keep in mind, right now, there are a lot of people at home. There are a lot of college students. They're at home right now, working from the computer. So keep in mind, a lot of them have talents and gifts, and they're not getting paid. They may be willing to do it for free. It might meet one of their internships, or they might be willing to work for a small amount of money.
Wow.
That's true.
Now that's powerful. So you've downloaded so much. I'm trying to keep all my notes, but I know one of the things you were talking about is just interns and being creative with the things that we're offering. So for those out there that are listening live or watching the replay, during this time when you experience those challenging seasons, don't be afraid to be creative with your business. I mean, maybe everybody may not be able to afford that $10,000 package like Kearn said, but you can be creative and create a package that might be more affordable. That's not taking away any value from your business, but you're able to cater to that particular group of clientele right now, and then you can continue to promote the other package. So that in and of itself is a blessing. So I wanted to take a moment and kind of transition, because you've been talking about the importance of connections and collaborations, and we wanted to pick your brain, so to speak, since you've been married 34 years. So we're always looking for wisdom, because we're always pouring into our clients. And when we talked about like an aha moment in business, but have you ever had one in your marriage which kind of impacted the business? So you kind of learned, hey, we have to work together as a team, in order for this to work. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, in the marriage side, I tell you, I've learned And people always say there are different years in your marriage that you just, you hear the people that say at 7 years you start to have issues. I say 7 to 10. 7 to 10 is really a milestone in marriage. But my mother-in-law told me one time, and she's gone now, but she said, it takes about 17 years before you really get to know somebody. And I was like, I thought about that. I think she's right. And then you start thinking they're going to do the same thing every time. They have similar response every time. And then, ladies, sometimes we overreact because we have so much emotions in our stuff. But sometimes I have to think and remind myself, okay, he's really not that serious about that. And I'm just taking it and making it more bigger than what it is. And, after being married all this time, you think I would know that, right? But I had to start telling myself. So when she said that, I realized she is correct. 17 years is when you start getting to know somebody, right? That's when it really starts. Because you're two individual people. You have different beliefs. And yes, opposites really do attract. So you typically have different talents, different gifts, different ideas. Sometimes one is a little more aggressive than the other as far as taking the leap. Like I think my husband leaps a lot more than I do. I'm learning. He's like, how long are you gonna sit on that idea? Are you gonna go if you have the idea, it looks good. Why haven't you already paid for that yet? Because you need it. And I'm like, really, he believes in it more than I do. Really? So it's you learn each other, but you have to be patient and know that it takes time. You're not two people born of the same brain. You're two different people. You approach raising children differently. And thank goodness we are different in raising kids. My kids are probably like, thank God. Because, he'll see something and I'll be like, what? Like, what? How did you see that? Yes, it's how we respond to each other. And, men tend to cater to their daughter. I always say my daughters have them wrapped around their fingers, and that is totally true. And I do believe that women tend to cater a little more to their sons. And so, but it helped create a balance because, as you know, I'm sure, Eric, you can say men tend to kind of bounce, butt head with their son, but that's only to make sure that he knows how to be a man. And I've learned that. It doesn't look that way in the beginning. You're like, why are you so hard on him? But he already knows what he's going to do because he was a boy before too. As they say, hard-headed boys. Yeah, they are. But, but it's part of being a man. And so they understand it better than we do. And that's why it's important to have two heads of the household. Well, one head of the household, but two parents in the household.
Right.
To keep each other balanced. And so women, the other thing I've learned is men thrive on respect. The Bible says it clearly. It says, man, love your wife. Women, respect your man.
Absolutely.
So, but we don't get it. We don't get it till later. It's like, oh, okay, I get it now. If I can respect his opinion, respect what he wants to do. And look, sometimes just let him have it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to win all the arguments. Just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to let that go. And so once you learn those things, to me, you start getting in a pattern of, you know each other. And whether it's the man or the woman, you kind of start to see that in each other. So it's my husband and I, like I said, we're totally different. We have different opinion on money, but we do talk it through. We don't just, do things. We respect each other in that.
Well, you know what? You made a key point here, because one of the things that we talk about is how couples need to be on the same page in regards to finances, in regards to building and protecting wealth. And when you started talking about, how to plan profitable events, how to create multiple streams of income, how to get butts in the seats, how do you handle that? Because I know they say, like, we respect the fact that the husband's the head of the household, but what happens when you have a wife that's got all these creative ideas when it comes to the finances? How do you handle that? Because I know for us personally, finances was his strength, but he taught me, and we talked about the fact, he said, should something happen, I don't want you to be a wife out there that doesn't have any idea about how to do this. So he's going to sit down and show me, how do you handle it? So I'm in turn posing this question to you. You've got all these creative ideas flowing. How do you handle that within the marriage when you're like, okay, I've got these ideas?
Right.
Right.
So my husband's also the stronger one in finance too. That being said, and I am bouncing off. He has his own ideas as well, and a lot of times I have to remind myself to respect that, because he doesn't always come up with all these, ideas out here, and then I want to do 5 of them at the same time, right? Yeah. And it takes money to do those 5 ideas. So he'll say sometimes, those are really great ideas, but do you think you might want to start picking and choosing some of those ideas? And then his other thing is, Kearn, you need to finish it. Don't just start it. Focus on finishing. And he's very supportive in that, and he's always saying you really need to make sure that when you have an idea, like building, putting your coaching program out, doing something different with your coaching program, or starting another conference, which I did this year as well. And so he's always supportive. He's like, you really have some great ideas, but you need to make sure that you can finance it, so that you're not draining the whole family, right? So I think it's good to bounce it off them before you just do something. I really think that's important. I think as women, we do have I don't know, I think men do too, but for me, being a person that likes to create, I like to sit down sometime and say, hey, well, what do you think? I'm thinking about doing this, that, and this. And I think it's going to help me to do, whatever. And he'll say, maybe, don't just jump on that. He'll tell me if he thinks I'm taking a bigger risk than I should. And if it's something that he thinks, well, you should have already done it. He'll just say, let's just do it. So it is important. And I want to say this, you see this in business, any type of business, whether it's adding another stream of income or whatever. When a man starts his business, most of the time the wife will come along and support it. It is a lot harder if a woman starts a business and her spouse is not supportive. It's almost doomed for failure. So it's important that, that's why it's important to be equally yoked as well, because that person will see your visions, and sometimes they'll tell you, well, that's just not a smart idea, and they're just honest and they stay fast on it. But most of the time they're going to support you. So it is important to have an equally yoked partner so that you can both support each other and it's not just a one-way street. So I have to reel myself in sometimes and say, hey, he's got an idea, let me just get behind it and let him run with it, and I can help by adding some things, to help him out, because I am better, I think, at marketing and stuff than him. So that tends to be my strength. So I support him by doing, helping him out, helps him to see how he can support me and continue to support me.
Yeah, I like that balance where you recognize each other's strengths and each other's weakness, and then you balance out. So if someone is stronger in one area, that you allow them to take the lead. and then the other one needs some assistance, then you're there to assist. But now you said something. Now this is really for new couples. So you said it is good to be equally yoked.
Yeah.
What is it? And we're saying that they don't have the Holy Spirit, so they have a discerning spirit. So what is it that you look for in a potential partner, and eventually your spouse, to determine that they will be a good fit to be equally yoked? So you won't be, here's a business mind, here's someone who wants to stay and work at McDonald's, and they think when they move up the fries, they really, they got their 5-10-year plan to make assistant manager at McDonald's.
It's so I think this is a critical point for most people. And I'm not going to say which one of my kids, but I've seen it with my kids and I've seen it with friends as well. First of all, for me, number one, and I tell my children this all the time, if they don't believe in God, you're already at a no. That's number one. You cannot, it has to be something that person believes. Sometimes people will pretend that they're, trying to change, but most of the time it's always going to come out. Right. If you ask God, he's going to show you anyway. So you ask God in the first place, is this person for me? That's number one. Number two, as far as business mind, you have to make sure that person has the desire to be in business. And I'm telling you, it's not good for a person to want to be a business person and their spouse don't want to have anything to do with being in business. It's going to hurt that business person eventually. Especially, I've seen it in relationships where the spouse won't even pick up the phone. One thing my husband and I understand, when the phone rings, that's money, answer the phone. I don't care if you in a drop down argument, think you win and all that stuff. If the phone rings, wait a minute, that could be a client. Hold on, let me take that call. And you you go right into business mode. If your partner isn't like, if that person you're talking to doesn't care about business money coming in to feed the household, you don't need that person as a partner, because they will not pick up and just change. Once you get past a certain age, what is it? The brain actually stops really learning and receiving so much information as a young little kid. So by the time a person is 21 or 8, somewhere in there, they're already who they're going to be. So if you
up here real quick, because this is good, but I want to throw a scenario in here. So let's say you both start out in corporate America. And all of a sudden, one of you, maybe the wife said, I want to start a business, and then she's like, well, honey, I need you to help me with this business, and he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. Oh, I'll help you a little bit, but then they just not pulling their weight.
Right.
What do you do that? I mean, because if she goes and looks for another partner outside of the marriage and it's supposed to be like a family-owned business, then now his feelings are going to be hurt, and then it's going to impact and cause a division in that marriage.
And it will, because I've seen it up close and personal. Not for my marriage, but I've seen it in people that I actually personally know. I think, and the one advice I gave to somebody was, stop trying to pull that person in, because if they don't want to be a part of it, all they're going to do is be destructive, right? You're already married to that person. You've already decided that's the person you're going to be with, and stuff. So I told the person I was talking to, hire your virtual person. Get somebody that will answer your phones for you, free your time up. If you don't, and I highly recommend, I would say this to people starting businesses, don't go in and try to get overhead right off the bat. Overhead is what kills a lot of businesses, and it's important that you keep that down. So I would suggest that you get you an assistant, somebody that you can hire, can contract online. They'll answer the phones for you, that type of stuff, if you have that type of business. but get you somebody that will work with you. Now, I'm not saying a partner, because I'm gonna tell you, one of my the realtor that I had years ago, she told me, she said, don't ever get a partner. You don't need a partnership as far as actual, like my husband and I are partners. Right. You know, it's a little different in some things, but it's really hard. If you don't have to get a partnership, don't. Now, if you do, keep in mind that's like being married, so to speak, right? So you go home, you got problems at home, and I got problems at work. So this person is dancing the whole time. So it really is sometimes better not to have a partner as well. But I often say, get you an assistant, because if you've been married already 15 years, you're not going to throw away your marriage for a business. You know, you're not. But if they're not agreeable, then you're going to have to go ahead and bite the bullet and get somebody to help you. And I really think somebody like a VA, or if you have an actual office, get somebody in the office that can help you manage the office. It's going to cost you a little more, but in the long run, it's going to keep your marriage from being strained.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
So that's some wisdom out there. So for everyone that's listening, you know, just be mindful that if you do find yourself in a position where you have your spouse is not supporting your business, you can consider getting an assistant to be able to help you, so you can free up that time so it's not impacting your marriage. So that is truly a nugget of wisdom to be mindful of. And oh wow, I just really don't even know where to begin, because we've got so many nuggets of wisdom. I'm like running out of paper here, writing everything down.
Well, I mean, you know, we're coming down to the latter part of the show. We have about 11 minutes here. Can you share with our listeners, you know, any events that you'll be hosting coming up soon, or? Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm going to share a story real quick. So
okay,
sure. I want to share this for spouses that work together. And my husband and I, like I said, we've been working together now for probably about 30 years. We actually started working together when we were in Tucson, and then we came over as occupational therapists, and then we started our own business. But the funny thing, my husband, like I told you, he really has the gift of discernment. And so he actually hires all our people as far as hiring. But I used to think, okay, I think he's being a little tough on some of these people. We should be able to hire more people coming in. So one day I decided, you know, let me interview this person. And, I can interview this lady. I'm sure she's not that bad. And my husband's like, I've already sized her up. She's not going to work out. I give her about a week and a half. And I'm like,
okay.
How do you get that from a phone conversation? He said, Kearn, trust me. They say a few things, and I've already decided they're not the right person for this company. Right? So I interview this lady. He's actually there, but he lets me ask all the questions and stuff. And I'm used to doing that, but it's a different gift, right? So I'm like, she sounds great. You know, I said we should hire her. He said, okay, we'll go ahead and hire her. And sure enough, I think a week later, we were getting a phone call from the client. Didn't like some of the things that she was doing. Asking things that we thought were inappropriate to our client. And the client was like, I really don't want him back. And I'm like, really? He said, I told you. I said, but you couldn't have known that. He said, it's a gift. And my son has the same kind of discernment as well. So I learned from that. I said, you know, I knew he was better than me, but I really just thought, you know, it's just, you know, I'm coming in and I'm not really thinking about what these women are saying, and maybe I'm just doing something wrong. What it is women are emotional. You know, a lot of us are emotionally attached. So when somebody starts talking about their kids and their this and that, a man is pretty straightforward. They're thinking about what this is what I need you to do for the company. This is what I need from you. I need you to be on time. I need you to dress appropriate. I need you to do all the follow the rules. That's all he's thinking about. He doesn't really care to hear about your kids and all this other stuff. Those are red flags. So women, when you're interviewing, those are red flags. So sure enough, he was correct. It's like she mentioned she had some kind of problem. And that flagged him that she is going to be a problem for our clients because she don't even know us and she's telling us her problems. And sure enough, that's kind of how it went with our clients. So yes, I just wanted to share that because it shows how if you allow that person to use their gifts, and just like in my case, I'm more the marketing person that's going to go out and speak for the company and go. I actually talk to the clients. I'm actually the one that talk to them, go out and see them and that type of stuff as well between him and I. And so therefore, I realized that is my gift. I can actually listen to people on the phone and say, that's not going to be a client. And he'll say, what do you mean? They're going to, you need to follow up. I said, okay. I follow up and sure enough, not a client. And he's like, oh. So we actually...
You balance each other out.
Yeah. Yes. It's like God is showing us, these are your gifts. Stay in your lane. And if you walk in your lane, you will be successful and you'll never want for nothing. And I want to tell people, you reap what you sow. You give your tithe and offering. You give your tithe and offering, and God is always taking care of you. And also keep in mind, don't be afraid to give to other people in general. That's what I tell people when it comes to networking. The gift of being networking is to build relationships. And that's how you get to collaborations like Success Women's Conference, which you asked me about some of the things I have coming up. I'm going to start with, I'm thrilled to say that I am a part of Ebony Jet Magazine's inaugural virtual conference.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yes, that's what I said. I was like, oh my God. So starting on the 24th, I will actually be speaking on the 25th. It's the day that they're going to have all the entrepreneurs like Dr. George Frazier.
Oh, yeah. We had him on our show.
Yeah. And you know how fabulous he is, right?
Yeah, he is so great.
Dr. Dennis Kimbrough.
We met him in Atlanta.
Yes, okay. And I don't know if y'all know Cheryl Wood, and there's so many other people that they have that's coming on. But anyway, check that out. The registration is actually on my page, and I'll actually be sharing that out again. But that's coming up this weekend. And then I also have Dr. Cosette White, who's out of California, who's going to be speaking on financial relief, COVID financial relief. And then she's going to also speak a second day. This is next week on the 27th and 29th about money moves. Because one of the things that we have got to get together, y'all, is our money.
Yes.
On the system. The system is not going to take care of you. If you're sitting and hoping that something's going to drop out the sky, God says, walk in faith. That literally, you need to walk in faith. And faith takes actions. Faith without works is dead. So let's stop talking faith and start walking faith. And don't let fear grip you right now, because there's a lot of fear that's being preached. I don't know about y'all, but it's almost like it's trying to act like a comforter and surround you. Knock that off of you and walk in faith, because God is going to provide for you, and so keep that in mind. In addition to that, I'm actually doing a virtual summit on to bring awareness to sexual assault and domestic violence.
Wow.
I often say that it's not my field, but I know that I've been hearing a lot. There's a big on the rise for domestic violence, child abuse, sexual assault. Talking to my daughter who works at the hospital, and domestic violence victims and people like that. It is a major problem that has been increased because of COVID-19, Corona. So I wanted to do something to help bring some kind of awareness. So Gloria Mayfield Banks will be joining us as one of the keynotes, and we have several other survivors, and she's a survivor too, that will be joining us as well and sharing their stories. We'll have some professionals and panel discussions as well. So that will actually be the April the 30th and May the 1st. So mark your calendar, because that's coming right around the corner. And you'll see some info on that as well. I also have the Power Up Summit. I am going to say my location's tentative because New Orleans is really going through some things right now. So I may have to move that. But I do believe that because of COVID, people are going to need to connect.
Yeah.
We'll do the social distancing as long as possible for, whatever. But people still need to meet in person, as well. So I'm going to do a smaller event for me. I call that small, 150 or so is a smaller event. So I'm going to do that. And I'm looking at a location near the Gulf Coast here as well. And then, of course, we have Success Women's Conference. Now, the Power Up Summit is July the 31st through August the 2nd. And then Success Women's Conference, which averages over 1,000 people. We are talking about the concern of having so many people. And so we're thinking about cutting down the possibility of having so many, but still having our live in-person event. That will be September the 11th through the 13th. We do have a big keynote that everybody knows scheduled, but I can't announce it until my partners give me permission. But that being said, you can go to powerupsummit.com for that conference, success conference.info for success, and anybody can email me Kearn at PRN Home Care Services with an S.com. And I'm on all the social media platforms. And you can find me either at Kearn Cherry or Kearn Crockett Cherry or PRN Home Care. We also have my conference, Power Up Summit, and then we have Success Women's Conference as well. But look, y'all, one of the bonuses I'm going to tell you, LinkedIn. Get you a LinkedIn site. People will be looking for new employees on LinkedIn site. There's going to be a hire and fire time frame. You need to get visible. LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. So, but I just want to advise, for the networking, connecting purpose, LinkedIn is one of the best kept secrets.
Yeah. I know I normally do that just from personal, professional things, but
I like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a nugget of wisdom. So for everyone that's listening, make sure if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, that's something you work on during this time. This is the time to get creative and to hone our skills and to make ourselves more marketable. So that's definitely a blessing. I know that we are kind of coming to the end, but we want to know if you could just take 1 or 2 minutes out there and just give some words of wisdom to the couples just on how their marriages can win. Because marriages winning is really, really, it's a huge component of what we do. So if you could just take 1 or 2 minutes and tell couples what they can do to help their marriage so it can win.
So I know a lot of people tell my husband and I, we spend a lot of time together. I often think about, we really do spend a lot of time together, not just in business, but you got to do simple things together. Sometimes we actually go and take a drive and just talk and spend time together. Now, I also believe in there's some space that you need sometimes, you know, and you don't have to, doesn't have to be long, maybe an hour or so a day that you just spend to get your mind right and to focus on you as well. Some people get up and pray in the morning. My husband gets up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. He likes to spend prayer time, you know, but we do a lot of things together, and I think it really does in the long run help us. We and talk things through. You know, communication in marriage is key. And I often say, if I hear people say, we don't never argue, I'm like, something wrong with your marriage. I don't know what it is, but you know, I mean, we argue because we have different opinions, but we don't let that live there. You know what I'm saying? We can agree to agree, you know, and it just, you know, we may have to separate for the time as far as in person and say, okay, you know what? Hey, it's gonna be okay to go ahead and say, you know what? I'm gonna let you have this time. You know, I'm gonna just move on in this conversation because we are spinning wheels. And respect, you know, if nothing else, you have to respect. And I tell you, women, men need that respect. It's just biblical, you know, and God wrote that for a reason. So they're built that way. They need you to respect them, and men know that they have to love their woman. You know, most men, my husband said, you know, Kearn, if a man let his woman go out looking bad, he don't love her. He said he doesn't. Men put their women, their wives before them. That is a person who loves their spouse. They love their wife when they do that. So it's just like us women put our kids before us.
That's right. I had to force her to go shopping. I had to take her to the mall, and I had to take her to the nice store and say, baby, this looks good on you. This is what I want to see on you. And she'd be like, oh no. And then she'll finally buy it. And then later on, she's like, well, this looks nice on me. I was like, yes, I have some good taste.
I have to be
Eric, you sound like my husband.
I got to meet your husband.
You have to, because my husband is the same way. I'm like, do not buy me that purse. It ain't on sale. I don't want it. He's like, what?
But the thing is, you buy it and then I don't like it. You take it back and then you go shopping and she's looking and she see the same purse. Like, oh, this is cute. I'm like, I bought that with you with the matching purse too. And she's like, oh, really? Well, you know, I had my mind on something else that time.
Oh my God.
But you know, we're gonna definitely have to come on again and make it husband wife. So we can just talk shop, you know?
we can, and I can tell you, one of the best things I did last year for Success Women's Conference is our fashion person approached me and said, I would like to style you at the conference. My husband was like, yes. And it was the best decision I ever made. Lauren Nicole Taylor. That girl. Shout out. It was the best. I'm telling you. It really was one of the best decisions I made.
Is she located in Mississippi?
Yes, but she ships everywhere. Oh no, she ships everywhere. This young lady, she ships my clothes. She doesn't live near me. She'll look at my stuff and say, "Hey, Kearn, this will look good on you." She has my size, all that stuff. Yes.
I need that for my wife and my daughter. My daughter's a business major. She just got accepted to the University of Florida. And I bought her some suits, but now she's like, oh, I like this, Daddy. I want more of these. I'm like, I've been trying to tell you, you got to give up the little skin tight things and you got to look business. Now she likes it now. And she looks so professional.
Oh my God.
You are too much like my husband. You know, we have 2 daughters. And he's always like, I can buy y'all. Let me buy this for you. Y'all need to do this, that, and this. Oh, you need to get the stylist as well. I'm like,
yes.
Oh my goodness.
I like going shopping with my wife and my daughter and my son too. I got my son looking all GQ'd up. I love to see my family looking good.
Yes, y'all too much alike. You too much alike.
So we're definitely gonna have to bring him on and we'll have like a couples chat.
Yeah.
Man, I really enjoyed this show. This was really awesome.
Amazing.
I really enjoyed the nuggets and the wisdom. I love the keys and strategy for business. And that's the thing, is that we love to connect with kingdom-minded people and kingdom-minded couples. And so kingdom couples, they're teaching. They're willing to teach, share, and to build, not to tear down and to compete. They want to build. And we're all about that. That's why our book is about keys and strategies. Our first book is to overcome what we call the Great Divide, which is communication, finance, and sex.
Yes.
And we get bougie and say intimacy.
Oh my God.
Sex.
Right.
And see, so what we do is we continually add value to ourselves. And so we stay trained up. We get the certifications. And that's why we got like the certifications of John Maxwell, the Master Certified. We're life coaches, and we're also licensed financial services advisors. So we can actually sell the life insurances, the IULs, the retirement accounts. And so now we have that value to bring values to others. And so we're just so happy to connect with people like yourself.
Yes.
And to hear all that wisdom and you're winning in your business and you're winning in your marriage. And so we can glean off of you. And if there's something that we can add value to you, we'd be happy to share.
But we're gonna keep, connecting with you. Say, hey, Kearn, you have some more nuggets of wisdom.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to do a virtual event, minimal together or something like that.
Sounds good.
We are
That
planning
sounds good.
something in the near future.
Yeah, we'll be
planning
planning
a
something.
virtual summit in the future. We're definitely going to connect with you to be a part of that.
And I'm gonna do a shout out to my authors. I'm sure they're listening. I have a new book coming out, Trailblazers Who Lead. They some fantastic stories that have been shared in that book as well. Many women doing amazing things behind the scenes, but most people don't get their story out there. So I'm trying to help them create a platform so that they can share their story. So it's an opportunity. Most people don't realize a chapter in a book. Stop trying to write a full book and start writing chapters. Get involved in some of these book anthologies and start sharing your stories. Most people got about 40 stories inside of them that they can tell, but we keep thinking we have to write the whole thing. No, you don't. And if you don't know about a ghostwriter, those are your best friends when it comes to the book. So I'm just going to put that out there as well. But it's important that we all start sharing. So I'm looking forward to doing something with y'all beyond.
That's what I'm like amazing that you're saying that's what we're doing now. We have actually doing a book anthology now, and it's called Struggling to Keep the Vows. And how many we have now?
We have about 6 couples that are involved, and then we also have one that's a licensed psychotherapist that was a part of the book as well. So she's sharing from her perspective, but that's going to be released. We're doing like pre-sales now, but we are so excited.
So y'all on the other side, remember, money streams, multiple streams of income. People don't understand. Books are a part of that as well. That's another way to create an income. So, hey.
So we want to shout out to all the trailblazers who lead. Who are watching it, definitely.
Yes.
So we want to thank you again, Kearn, so much from the bottom of our hearts. We know you have so many people pulling on you right now, and we just appreciate your taking the time to just release nuggets of wisdom that can really help impact and influence marriages around the world. We're excited about your Power Up Summit. We're excited about the Success Women's Conference. We're excited about Trailblazers Who Lead. And we definitely want to stay connected and just get together with you so we can continue to pour into couples and just encourage people in their businesses. This is what we love doing. It's a passion of ours.
Oh, yes. And to all of our listeners, before we close out, we invite you to join us each Tuesday night on the Love Radio Network.
Yeah.
This is a time where you can call in and ask questions.
Yeah.
We have a full hour. We have one little small break just to pay some bills. But other than that, we're open for calls. And also you can catch us pretty much almost any time with the Marriage Can Win live show, which you're viewing right now. And so we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Marriage Can Win. And so we also have our podcast. It's 24/7 and we update it almost twice a week. And that is the marriagecanwinpodcast.com. And as we were talking about, we have this new book out and it's a great project. The book is just part of the project. But yes, it's called Struggling to Keep the Vows. And Sakeisha and I, we talk about our defining moment in life and also our defining moment in marriage. And that defining moment in marriage birthed out our first book. We're on our fourth book now, and we are bestsellers. And so that first book was The Marriage Can Win, and it came out of our defining point in our marriage.
Yeah.
And so that was the communication, finance, and sex. And those are the things that we was a part of our defining moment. We had to go through this. We had to overcome all kinds of challenges.
Yes.
And we were transparent, and we're going to be very transparent in this book. You can we're in the pre-sales stage, and we have a few more spots. So if you go to Sakeisha.strugglingtokeepthevowsbook.com, you can buy a copy of the book. And our first, we have about 25 or about 30 spots left because it's going to be 20, not that many, really.
No.
Probably like 15 spots. If you buy within those 15 spots, you will also be mentioned in our book. And so again, Sakeisha.strugglingtokeepthevowsbook.com. And then that way you can be a part of the book and you can mention your businesses in that book as well. Now, don't forget, we are all over social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. Follow us on Instagram because we're going to start doing a lot of things on Instagram as well. Yeah. And on Facebook, we have the Marriage Can Win show, the Marriage Can Win page, the group. We have so much going on. And we're just excited because we're connecting more with these kingdom-minded couples.
Kingdom couples.
Right. And so that's why in the future, this book is going to lead to other things.
All right. All right. So we want to thank you again, Kearn, so much for your time. Thank you to everybody who took time out there listening live or listening to the replay. And just remember, you can be the change you want to see in your relationship.
Until next time, let all your relationships win. Bye for now. We want to thank you for joining us today on our broadcast.
Let's keep the conversation going. You can connect with us via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or subscribe to our YouTube channel under Marriage Can Win.
Also, you can join us 24/7 on our Marriage Can Win podcast at www.themarriagecanwinshow.com. And also connect to us at marriagescanwin.com.
Remember, you can be the change you want to see in your relationship. Until next time.